Ukraine has surprised the world. Its resistance against Russia is being lauded almost everywhere, but a pat on the back and supplying weapons is just not enough. Kyiv has been eyeing a seat at the European Union. However, it seems like that dream is decades away. The EU parliamentarians gathered in Strasbourg to discuss Russia's assault against Ukraine. In the same meeting, newly reappointed French president cleared the air surrounding Ukraine's membership. He said that the entire process will take time and a fast-track entry should not be expected, something that the Ukrainian president has been pushing for. Rather, Emmanuel Macron suggested a parallel European bloc. He called it a political European community, and this is the first time that any EU leader has mentioned a new grouping. It will have nothing to do with the European Union, of course. In fact, it will be an alternative group, which will allow non-EU members to join Europe's security architecture. At this point, it is not clear what kind of security umbrella this community will bring. However, in the same speech, Macron also did not rule out Ukraine's membership.
Et cette question demeure. Comment organiser l'Europe d'un point de vue politique et plus large que l'Union européenne? C'est notre obligation historique que d'y répondre aujourd'hui et de créer ce que je qualifierai aujourd'hui devant vous une communauté politique européenne. Cette organisation européenne nouvelle permettrait aux nations européennes démocratiques, adhérant à notre socle de valeurs, de trouver un nouvel espace de coopération politique, de sécurité, de coopération en matière énergétique, de transport, d'investissement, d'infrastructures, de circulation des personnes et en particulier de nos jeunesses. La rejoindre ne préjugerait pas d'adhésion future à l'Union européenne, forcément, comme elle ne serait pas non plus fermée à ceux qui ont quitté cette dernière.
Russia decided to invade Ukraine 2 months back. Just 4 days after that, Ukraine was at the European Union's door, requesting to join the bloc. But as time went by, Moscow's assault intensified and Kyiv's morale to join the EU faded. The EU's process of accepting a new member is extremely lengthy and complex. On the group's official website, there are 5 recognized candidates for membership. All are in their negotiation phase. But it is interesting to see which year they applied. Turkey, for one, applied in 1987, but since the 2013 talks have been at a standstill. North Macedonia applied in 2004, Montenegro in 2008, Albania and Serbia in 2009, and all are still waiting for a green light. But Ukraine is not sailing in the same boat as others. It doesn't have the privilege of time. So today's developments are not expected to have any direct effect on what is actually happening on ground. The alternative European community is at a fetus stage, and unlike Ukraine's membership, the war in Ukraine is not decades away. For more details, WION's correspondent Rosie Burchard is now joining us live from Brussels. Rosie, help us understand this better. President Emmanuel Macron is now suggesting a parallel European bloc called a political European community. What does this effectively mean for Ukraine's bid to be a member of the EU?
Well, it doesn't mean anything concrete. Emmanuel Macron, the French president, was addressing EU citizens. He was there to listen to their ideas about the future of Europe, but it's his idea which has caught the headlines, and I should stress at this stage, it is only an idea. Now, Emmanuel Macron, the French president, gave words to what a lot of officials and analysts here in Brussels have been thinking, which is that even if Ukraine were to be granted candidate status for the European Union tomorrow or overnight, the actual process of becoming a full formal member could take years, if not decades. And that's why Emmanuel Macron has proposed or dreamed up a sort of parallel organisation where what he calls democratic European countries which share values with the EU can work together in areas like energy, infrastructure, transport and movement of people. He particularly highlighted free movement of young people. So this is his idea of how to kind of answer those calls from Ukraine to have a clearer seat at the European table, but it's just an idea at this stage. Emmanuel Macron himself simply does not have the power to create this kind of body. He would need the backing from all 27 EU member states, and creating such a body could involve changing the EU treaties. That is something which several EU member states have have expressed hesitation toward.
Absolutely. Rosie, let's discuss this a little further. How is Kyiv reacting to the French president's remarks? We know that President Zelensky has, of course, been pushing for a seat at the EU for quite some time now. He wants to fast-track it, especially for the security architecture.
Ukraine has been calling for a seat at that table. You're quite right. And in terms of the timeline, what we are expecting and what Ukraine is hoping for is some sort of a fast-track procedure toward the candidate status. So the European Commission, that's the bloc's executive, headquartered in this building behind me, is expected to give its formal opinion on whether or not Ukraine is eligible for candidate status next month. And then it would be down to EU leaders, those 27 member states, to decide what to do based on that expertise. Now, there is certainly plenty of political momentum here. Quite a lot of EU member states, particularly the Baltic countries and Poland, have been pushing to fast-track this step toward candidacy, to becoming a candidate country. But that is not the next step to becoming a full member, simply because you highlighted some of the figures there. North Macedonia became a candidate country in 2005. Becoming a candidate does not necessarily mean becoming a full member, but it would be an important political step, and that's why it's something Ukraine has been calling for. But of course, what it wants most of all is to become a full member of the European Union, and with or without Macron's new idea, that's something which is very unlikely to happen overnight. There are lots of processes involved in becoming a member, including clamping down on corruption, new rule of law tools, and trying to adhere to all sorts of different standards. It's a lengthy process, and it's also a very political one.
Right, Rosie Percha, thanks so much for all those insights. Thanks for joining us on WION at this hour. WION World is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news updates on the move.